Welcome everyone, my name is Brendan Snyder. Thank you for joining me. If you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, I'm attempting to reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers, and if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a look at a Journey box set called Time Cubed that collects the first decade of their career from 1975 to 1986 and covers all of the lineups and all of their releases on the box set. But their history goes back to 1973, where they formed from former Santana members Greg Raleigh on keyboards and lead vocals and Neil Schon on lead guitar. The lineup was rounded out by Ross Valerie on bass and George Tickner on guitar and Ansley Dunbar on drums. They were originally called the Golden Gate Rhythm Section before changing their name to Journey, and initially started out as a jazz rock fusion group. They released their first album, their self-titled debut, in 1975, but before the follow-up album, Look Into the Future, from 1976, guitarist George Tickner left the group. Now, neither of these two first albums achieved much in the way of commercial success, so the follow-up album from 1975 featured shorter songs with more vocals on it. Now, at the record label's request, they changed their musical direction and hired a frontman in the form of Robert Fleischman, and their new style was much more in line to current popular acts like Foreigner and Boston at the time. However, before recording their next album, Robert Fleischman left the group and Steve Perry was hired as his replacement. And 1978 saw the release of their fourth album, Infinity, and their fortunes changed greatly with the release of this album. It featured the single Wheel in the Sky and ultimately was certified triple platinum. But in 1978, Ansley Dunbar was fired from the group and Steve Smith was hired on drums as his replacement. And then they recorded Evolution in 1979, which featured the single Lovin' Touchin' Squeezin' and was ultimately certified triple platinum. Departure was the next release in 1980 and featured the song Any Way You Want It and was also certified triple platinum. At this point, Greg Raleigh decided to leave the group, and it was the second time that he had decided to leave a group, the first time being Santana at the peak of their success. They in turn hired Jonathan Cain of the group The Babies as his replacement, and the band proceeded to record their biggest album to date, Escape, which came out in 1981 and featured the singles Who's Crying Now, Don't Stop Believin', and the power ballad Open Arms, and was ultimately certified 9 times platinum. And then in 1983, the album Frontiers came out, continuing the band's success, and featured the singles Separate Ways, Send Her My Love, and Faithfully, and was certified 6 times platinum. Now, after the Frontiers tour, the band took some time off with both Neil Schon and Steve Perry recording solo albums. Steve Perry had the most success with his 1984 solo album Street Talk that featured the single Oh Sherry, and it ultimately went 2 times platinum. When the group did choose to regroup later, they did fire Ross Valerie and Steve Smith before recording 1986's Raised on Radio. This album here, it featured the singles Be Good to Yourself and I'll Be Alright Without You, and ultimately was certified double platinum. Now, towards the end of the tour, Steve Perry began to experience the beginnings of vocal injury and began to distance himself from the rest of the band members, which ultimately led to the cancellation of the remaining dates of the tour and the band going on indefinite hiatus. And of course, that brings us up to present day in terms of the box set, which spans the years 1975 to 1986. The box set came out in 1992, and it covers the songs from that period chronologically, and it also covers all of the lineups and all of the albums up through 1986, which I like, because a lot of times these box sets tend to skip over albums or periods of a band that aren't as successful, but this one chose to cover it, which I think was really great. It's 3 CDs and features 55 tracks, 15 of which are either B-sides, unreleased songs, alternate versions, demos, early versions, soundtrack recordings, and live tracks. And so let me give you a little rundown of what these are. Disc 1 kicks off with Of a Lifetime and Kohutek off of Journey. Then I'm going to leave you off of Look into the Future, Cookie Duster, which is a previously unreleased song, Nickel and Dime off of Next, For You, which is previously unreleased, Velvet Curtain and Feeling That Way, which the song Velvet Curtain is previously unreleased, Anytime, Patiently off of Infinity from 1978, Good Times, which is a previously unreleased track. Then we get Majestic, Too Late, Sweet and Simple, Just the Same Way, all off of Evolution. Then Little Girl off of Dream After Dream soundtrack from 1980, Any Way You Want It, Someday Soon, and Good Morning Girl off of Departure. The second disc kicks off with Where Were You, Line of Fire, Homemade Love, all off of Departure from 1980, Natural Thing, which was a B-side to the Don't Stop Believing single, but was recorded in 1979. Then we get Lights, Stay a While, Walk Like a Lady, Love and Touch and Squeezin', Dixie Highway, Wheel in the Sky, and The Party Is Over, all off of Captured 1981. Then Don't Stop Believing, Stone in Love, Keep on Running, Who's Crying Now, Still They Ride, Open Arms, and Mother Father off of Escape from 1981. Disc 3 kicks off with the B-side La Raza del Sol from the B-side of Still They Ride, Only Solutions from Tron soundtrack, Liberty, which is a previously unreleased 1981 recording, Separate Ways, Cinder My Love, Faithfully, and After the Fall, all from Frontiers 1983, All That Really Matters, which is an unreleased song recorded in 1982, The Eyes of a Woman, Why Can't This Night Go On Forever, Once You Love Somebody, Happy to Give, Be Good to Yourself, which is all off of Raised on Radio from 1986, then Only the Young from the Vision Quest soundtrack, Ask the Lonely from Two of a Kind soundtrack, With a Tear, which is a previously unreleased 1985 recording, Into Your Arms, also previously unreleased from 1985, then Girl Can't Help It live from 1986, which is previously unreleased, and I'll Be Alright Without You, which is also previously unreleased but from 1982. All right, and so this is the box set. This is one of those old school lift top box sets. You can see the track listing on the back side. It's a cardboard case, and the top just lifts right off. And you can see right on top, it's got one of those really nice big separate books that comes out, which is great. And then it's got the discs that are in here in individual jewel cases, which I really like. I always like the ones where I can take these out and if I want, keep them separate. Don't always have to keep them inside the box. And I'll just show you what the other two covers look like, which builds off of what the booklet has on it. And the booklet's pretty cool too. If we open it up all the way, you get the full image of what that is, like a vinyl. And the booklet itself is quite nice. I like that right up front, it's got all the track listing on the first inside page. Sometimes they bury those things in the back and it's always hard to find and I'm fumbling through those. So it's great that it's up front. And then you get a really great history that's in here and a run through from that first decade with a lot of great photos in here. What's also cool is they do go track by track and give you some cool behind the scenes and additional information where that stuff isn't buried in the history, it's actually separate and pulled out in here so that you can follow along as you're listening to it, reading a little something about each of the tracks as they go through it, which I think is pretty cool. And then as we get closer to the back of this, it does do the, covers each of the albums in there that things are from, and there's the back side of it. All right, so in conclusion, wrapping up the band's history, they would reunite in 1995 with the classic lineup, including Steve Perry, and record Trial by Fire. But unfortunately, Steve Perry was unwilling to tour, and so they hired former Tall Stories vocalist Steve Algeri as his replacement and recorded the album Arrival with him. And then between the years 1998 up to present, there's been many lineup changes with the group. Most recently, Ross Valerie and Steve Smith being fired for the second time, and new replacements being brought in. Randy Jackson from the 1986 lineup on bass, Narada Michael Walden on drums, and Jason Durlaka on second keyboards, which I find really strange. They've never had a second keyboard player, and I'm not sure what he would add that Jonathan Cain hasn't already been doing for them over the career of the band. And of course, these three new guys are joining remaining members, Neil Schon, Jonathan Cain, and vocalist Arnel Pineda. Now, interestingly, Neil Schon has said that they're actually working on the first new material in 9 years since the release of 2011's Eclipse, which is really great. And they actually intend to release a single sometime this summer 2020. So certainly going to keep an eye out for that. I'm really excited that this lineup and band hopefully is going to produce new material, which they haven't done in nearly a decade. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, and I hope everyone has a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.